Yeah, we'll start the panel. So, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, everyone, depending on which geography you are based in. So, today's panel is on implementing agentic AI in enterprise environment. And we have our panelist Ganesh from ELIXIR and Deepak from Sattva Group. Uh, as we move ahead, we have seen deployment of AI across the organization. Uh, Today's discussion is more about, it's not about just experimentation, but how do we derive the measurable value from AI adoption in the organizations. We have seen adoption of AI across the organization. Everyone in the organization is using AI today. So about a year back, we used to talk in terms of whether you have used AI today. Now, the scenario is companies are trying to understand if and to what extent employees are using AI because their budgets are going overboard and companies which are planning for a whole year of budget is getting expended in the initial 3 or 4 months. And we are talking about not only the smaller ones, but the larger ones, the likes of Microsoft and all. There are a lot of things when we talk about AI, we talk about, there are a lot of pitfalls which we have to look at. One of them is reskilling and employment related aspects. So how do we make workforce relevant in current environment? How models are being built. So there's a lot of things on the model bias and we keep hearing about it. So, in one of the studies which was done on the medical system, so when question was put to AI to provide solutions or diagnosis, the AI gave different treatment based on race, income, and gender for the same symptom. So, I mean, it is basically because what kind of data has been fed into it. In one of the cases, AI rejected all the female candidates because the data which was provided was trained, was all male data. So AI thought that females are not suitable for the job, right? Uh, there is a very big lawsuit which is there on the against Workday for rejecting, candidates based on religion, race, age, and disability. Again, a pitfall of AI implementation. We have a lot of issues on data security because data is being put on the AI platforms. And in terms of what kind of security needs to be there, how it needs to be monitored, is something which is currently not very clear. Fraud, deepfake, misinformation, a lot of things are happening. So if what used to happen earlier, so it is very easy now. Anyone can do deepfake very easily. If your voice is being heard, even one sentence or probably few words, the voice modulation is very easy. So it gives a lot of opportunities to fraudster. Misinformation is there. Uh, and Along with that, there's also issue in terms of decision making. So to what extent you can rely on AI to take decision? Because if decision cannot be taken by AI, the whole point of deployment of AI to some extent, what kind of value you are deriving gets reduced. When there are major events happening, so let's say elections are happening, you keep hearing about, use of AI to rig, the information which is floating in the market. So all these things are happening around us. When we come to the business context, all the companies are using AI, but has it actually gone to the deployment or we are still working on pilot? So we'll try and put all these questions. We'll discuss how AI is implemented in real environment, what are the challenges which are faced along the way, and how it is delivering the value. So the way we will structure it, we will first go with AI platform partner ELIXIR. Then we will talk about demo on agentic AI deployment, and then we will go with the panel discussion. We'll also have Q&A. So if you have any question, please put it on the chat box. So we'll take up all those questions from you. And just as an introduction, so I represent advisory from SW India, which is a global advisory firm. So we advise client on various topics, both for our global client base as well as Indian client base. And along with me, we have Ganesh Raju. Ganesh is a veteran in AI field. He is Chief AI and Innovation Officer at ELIXIR Global, and he has built more than 400 plus production agents for Fortune 500 companies. He spent 15 years leading data science and ML at Red Hat, ARM, Qualcomm, NVIDIA, and Google. And he has got experience governing system at global scale and understanding how infrastructure breaks, seeing enterprise, what enterprise actually needs, and what information everyone need in the enterprises. So he's proficient in terms of how model work not only in labs, but how do you beef up your infrastructure for it to work in the real environment. We also have Deepak with us. Deepak has a role that fosters thought leadership, driven primarily through leading-edge enterprise digital and AI transformation program, involving innovative and purposeful solution across industry. He develops and grows strong, high-performing practice to deliver value-oriented, industry-based, and innovative enterprise digital transformation. He has global experience, work across several countries, including US, UK, Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia, New Zealand, Australia, etc. So with that, I welcome my panelist for today's evening. And we will start with Ganesh. So Ganesh, I think we are talking about AI implementation, right? So if you can take us through this journey as to how AI needs to be implemented, and we can even look at a quick demo in terms of how agentic workflow works. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate Achilles. No, thank you first of all, and a privilege to be in this panel along with Deepak. Thanks for the intro as well. Been fortunate, been in the AI space for quite some time, have a good experience working with many of the top Forbes companies in providing AI solution for them. To answer your question, it's a pretty good broad question as well. Of course, everybody is in AI today. Everybody is talking about AI. Before we start answering how this implementation, I think the most important question that many companies miss to answer is why. Why do we need AI? Right? So, even though I am a chief AI officer support, I want to promote AI everywhere, but this is how we start. When an engagement starts, why? So, first thing, if the company is either not answering with this solution, I'm going to get better productivity or cost optimization. If these two are not there, then there's no point implementing AI. Okay. So we ask when we go to the board meeting, we ask this question: is it going to increase your top line? Is it going to increase your productivity? Right. So are there any cost optimization? And then from there on is where we go to the next step. We look at the low hanging fruit and see what solutions can bring the biggest difference, right? And how do we do it? we it's just not getting directly started off with going with the AI solution and trying to put it on them, throw it to them and say this will work for you. No, there are three things that we look at. Number one is the data. Do they have the right data? Is the data in the right format? Right? So sometimes they do have the data, it's not in the right format. Then what is the solution? Right? So we call that AI readiness. Right? So we go with that plan of making the AI readiness first if the data is not ready. The next is the orchestration. Right? Second thing, you know, we look at the whole business process again, answering those questions: productivity and cost optimization. How can one end-to-end process can address those two questions? Right? And then we work backwards on it. How does the AI come into picture? What AI, what can it do? Right? So we are talking about all agentic AI, and now the new word is autonomous. Right? So everything autonomous, meaning everything is no human touch, right? Or as minimum as possible. That is also very dangerous. Right? So we look into various different steps in the process and see where AI can get started addressing those two questions again, and how not just one AI, how a group of AI can come into picture. That's where the orchestration, right? How is the workflow? Where is the human in the loop? Where is the security check? All done, right? So we analyze all of that. Right? Then the third thing is the governance. Many people miss that. So it's the afterthought most of the time. That is super dangerous again. So the governance has to be the key one, or the first element that you need to look into, right? So including SOX compliance, including the guardrails, how this agent should not hallucinate, how it should be, uh, bolted into the real data, right? So these are the key things that we look. Again, data, orchestration, looking the whole process, and then the governance. Right. So this is how we approach. At Elixir, we what we have done is we have built over 450 plus agents that we have also deployed quite a few of them at in production at various clients. These are tested, right? So internally, what the moat is, instead of enterprise developing, going through this journey and having a pilot phase and then learning from it, we have done that process, taken that pain to make sure our models are well tested, and so that we take it and plug it into existing environment. I'll be more than happy to do and quickly showcase that as well as we continue to have the conversation. Is that answer your question, Achilles?
Yeah, that's good. And I think let's just go through maybe a couple of minutes in terms of how it happens,
Oh,
and then we will
absolutely. I would love
provide. Yeah.
to show that. Let me show my um, the agents that we have internally built and how we solve. Right. So let me quickly share my screen if that's okay. Hopefully you can see my screen. So
Yes.
this is a repository of nearly 450 agents that we have built inside Elixir that I was talking about, right? So this is more like a marketplace that you're seeing it. And on the left side, you can see the agents are categorized by industry, based on whatever industry the companies are. They can select the industry, and I spoke about the orchestration or the business process. And there we do have a filter for the business process. We can go into either the procurement or any of these business process that a company could have. These could be the vertical process that can be in any of the organization, right? So you can touch and see some of the agents that is purpose built. Right, so these are plug and playable that can be taken and dropped into an existing landscape it does have all the required connections and protocols, and in the agent world we call MCPs, A2As. So these are the protocol that connects to your existing landscape, could be data landscape or external sources, and then it will be able to pull in, connect your data. It does come with the governance, and then the agent does work on it, right? So for example, let's see, invoice intelligence. So this is something that we have deployed in multiple of our client places. Now, one is, let me pull up this global invoice intelligence. So I can give you a very brief touch upon this intelligence, this agent. What it does is, today most of the companies would have some kind of invoices, AP, and they go through invoices coming from various clients. Most of them do have some kind of a OCR process internally, but not single OCR can do everything. Because the reason could be, the invoices could be of various types. Sometimes the invoice is image that a client sends. It could be in JPEG, or could be in any other format. It could be PDF file, Word document. Sometimes the invoice would have just a horizontal, simple content in it. Sometimes it could even have some kind of a Excel kind of a columnar data, right? So some of the OCRs are able to understand the columnar data. They can go vertical and read the data. Some don't. There could be invoices in your local languages, right? So not all OCRs are able to do language translation. And some invoices you could have handwritten text too. Not all OCRs can read that. So what we have built is an intelligent agent. Just one example that we are showing out of 450. This intelligent agent, what it does is goes through it, can recognize what invoices it is, what type of file, and what is the content, and based on it, it will be able to select the right OCR tool. Okay, so whatever the OCR tool is the best fit for this case, and then it will be able to do the OCR, not just do the OCR, and it can even go further, do the supplier validation. It can check, is this a right supplier? Does he have the right tax ID or so, for example? And then once the supplier verification is done, it can even do a duplication check, for a fraud check. Sometimes it is very common that a supplier could send in an invoice, and then later on follows up with another invoice by just changing the bank, trying to get to get paid multiple times, right? So it does do the duplication and fraud check, and it can do a three-way match as well. Connects to your PO system. Your contract could be in a different system, right? So it does that. It could be from ERP or non-ERP, doesn't matter. It can connect to it and do a validation, right? And then it does the orchestration, right? So this is one example. And what we do is, this is the marketplace that we typically show to the client, and then we will show how the agents will work, and we work through that. So and the agents, the client can upload an invoice, and then they can click on the process. This is a sandbox that the pre-built, and some of the clients, before they make a decision to use this agent, they can try out with their own invoices and see how it works, right? So I'm just throwing an example how we approach an enterprise, and how we showcase this. We have more than few agents, and like when I came to the orchestration, I spoke about, and we build a playbook. It is not just one agent. We have multiple agents working together. That's where the workflow is tested. We validate the human in the loop, and then decisions taken ad hoc, and so on. So these are the workflows. You can see some of the financial workflows. It has multiple agents intelligently talking to each other, right? So these are this is how we approach.
Thanks, Ganesh. I think it's a very good showing in terms of how it actually works. Now, since Deepak, you have been involved in implementation, so let me put some of those input from what Ganesh spoke about, and then understand from you uh, more from your implementation journey. So, what kind of challenges you came across? And I think let's before that, let's first question answer is that why? What was the problem statement for you to implement AI? What were challenges at the time of implementation? And Ganesh also spoke about data issues. So did you actually had those? And what kind of, change management and integration complexity you went through? So if you could just touch upon some of these things while we talk about your experience.
So, hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Akhilesh and Ganesh, thank you for having me here. So it's a nice panel. I think Ganesh spoke a lot and you already set the context. So I will be just giving other side of the table with more viewpoint. Okay. See, any project is whenever we start it, it has to have a definite start and end, and what exactly the solutions or what is a problem statement that which we are trying to resolve. Okay. AI is also nothing new or nothing different from overall. Basically, trying to be very simplified, trying to see that is, can we able to solve some of the business problem or any of the solutions that which will add value to the overall business, whether we can look at that into optimization angle. So these are the things will come into picture. Okay. Coming down to first challenge will come by each one and every organizations comes with how big is the organization, what is the legacy of a data, as he spoke about data, what level is the data, whether it is in the structured format, whether it is an unstructured format, and IT modernization. Is organization is thinking in the more on a CIO side is looking at this IT modernization. Are constantly the organization is spending or investing money to modernize their IT? Are they IT enabled enterprises? That becomes a very, very critical challenge. If that is there and that adoption is there, then at least they are relatively ready for some of the AI implementation. If that itself becomes a fundamental challenge, what happens is everything what you plan, like board is wanted to do it or we want to do it, we want to catch up the trend. But this legacy data, modernization activity, process improvement area, all has to happen together. So that becomes a very, very challenging. That's how where you see most of the IT companies or whichever the end users would have not got their ROI or not got their output, and AI is not working in that approach or not got the desired results. This is how where most of the organizations are feeling. So first, what you need to do is what is your problem statement? The problem statement is I can improvise any process, I can automate any process, I can remove human, put human in loop, or we can do whatever we want to do. You tell it, Ganesh will do it. Okay, it's like that. But point is whether it is a right thing to do, whether it is really required for the organizations or not. Okay, if you're doing, what is that IT modernization first you have to do? Are you in on-prem? Are you in cloud? Are you completely on cloud? Because unless the data and cloud is not mixed, the AI result is overall optimizations. What you do is, will be minimalistic. Otherwise, we are falling back to the old era saying that is okay, I have a AI, but I'm still trying to do some other use case, which is like an automation use case. You got the point. No, for every automation, we may not need AI. Okay. So this is how where organization also should have a maturity. Data issues everywhere. You look at the data unless you wanted to do something, you will start. Most of the people have started. They've again, stopped in between. They're trying to revisit it. This is what is happening in most of the AI project. So data issue is like, have you already set up? It depends on organization maturity. Each organization have they set up something in some of the into data mart level or a data, warehouse level or some in data lake level. It is not huge cost, but substantially you can look at a process wise, maybe P2P cycle or OTC cycle or whatever, finance reporting cycle where you can look into it. These things becomes very, very critical and you have to cleanse the data. First point we have to understand today before we deploying any AI, your data check is very, very important. Okay. Unless you don't go back and check your data, because you would have collected the data a decade back architecture in the XYZ pattern, but suddenly you want something else to be solved. You don't have a data only to solve that. We have not captured the data. You would have kept most of the, data is a transactional data or optimized data. You would have not enhanced the data into trying to do some customer service or a customer experience improvement or other things, other different use cases. So unless you don't bring the data, you cleanse the data and build something good architecture or a medallion architecture, and multiple sources of data is lying in your office. Okay. Unless you don't bring all that layer together and synchronize it and put a golden layer of a data, then only whatever you are trying to do will become a very clear approach. So these are the challenges what we are facing it. Second is coming down to change. Change is, you have to carry everybody together. It's not that easy. Some people is wanted to do the change. Some people are volunteering. Some people are like, open mind is definitely required, particularly at least at the both the level, management level, also middle layer. Somewhere we will be able to pull up the, other executive team also into overall activity. That is also very, very important. And minute you say AI with integration and complexity, I don't see, particularly in if you're in IT, I don't see today most of the people between ERP, CRM, whether it is Tally, whether it is like GST portal, whether it is like, customer app or a Swiggy app to this, people have at least got little adopted. Thanks for COVID. So at least that a whole adoption of IT is being done by overall approach, not by organization initiatives. But yes, if you wanted to do integration, you have to be very clear. When we are deploying certain agent, if we are doing particularly like we deployed agent for a banking related, there I definitely don't wanted my AI to be connected in the particularly on the web or online or a cloud market. Why I would wanted to do it very privatized, because it's my bank data, correct, right? I don't want it to come into cloud. But if I'm doing something research, yes, of course, I want to have my data comparison with the cloud data, whatever the LLM optimization. Then I would want to look at it. Okay, what is my competitor is doing? Whether this market is in that approach? Can we able to launch project in this particular pricing? So is that micro market study is okay or not? That is how where you have to look into it. Again, it is purely contextual based. Unless we are not having a business problem to solve, and how you want to solve, if you don't have that measure, you will not be able to solve. And being at end user, of course, it links with most of the time in ROI. For us, is our due diligence become double, because one, we have to take care about all the implementation partner like our Ganesh and team or XLR team. But along with that, we will also have to improvise with our process and advisory style, where whether this will give a result or not. So with our finance team or audit team, followed by we have to achieve and show the results also. So this becomes a triangular challenge, internal stakeholder, external stakeholder, app integrations, and also where we have to look into our coordination. So unless you don't understand all these flow and integrate, this is very, very important. And challenges is more on skill today.
Yeah.
Everybody will start, they get stuck at the after 10 minutes. So if you ask them, probe them further, they don't have an answer, because they're excited to do AI. Absolutely right, I have it's a good initiative, but point is, next step is not there. So this is a kind of challenges what we faced when we really wanted to solve the case. Then like 40-50% of the case, as when we found it is not even AI ready, I can just do small automation and close it.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, we can do that in a AI method also. So these are the kind of challenges while implementing what we have encountered. So I'm here
Yeah,
open to
very
further
well.
discussion, sharing.
Beautifully said, Deepak. I think
Okay.
you're very true. No, lot of more, so many companies are doing initiative. Less than 10% are actually
Yeah.
close to production use cases. Very,
Correct.
very
Correct.
low. And
Yeah.
even Gartner recently said, right, majority of them are putting money, and more than 70% they put the money after the sandbox and tryout and POC. They cut the project. The funding is taken away. And they are saying even it will continue until 2027, nearly 50% of project, that's what is going to happen. I
Okay.
think Deepak touched upon right thing right now. Asking why is the very important question. I think different companies are at various different stages. Some of them are still in the assistive stage where they are doing co-pilot, and then they, we call them as the AI ready company. Not so, right? So some of them are in the automation stage, rightly pointed out Deepak again. And automation is not AI, right? So yes, the majority of the ROI could come from automation, and majority of the things can be done in automation, and automation could be sufficient enough for most of the companies, right? But it is not automation. It is AI adds the value when it can bring the autonomous decisions or intelligence into the decision making. That is where it adds the most value, and not many company would need that. Not many company would be in that stage at all today. In the top 10%, another 10% is actually what is actually using that.
A great
So it's
Deepak and
basically like,
Ganesh.
coming back
Yeah.
and touching Akhilesh for a minute.
Yeah.
Touching back is, majorly where we want to look into it is, you when you are doing this activities, you should be in a position to know some advisory in terms of business process knowledge. What is that you are solving the problem? That will solve most of it. Of course, whatever the task you're doing, you can. But first AI use case, when somebody wants to look into it and take away, look at the repetitive task
Yes.
like bank reconciliation, then multiple bank account, you are pulling statement and doing it, some repetitive agreements which you are looking at it, unless something is in a small thumb rule as of now to start with, could be anything repetitive in nature, a daily task to a monthly, weekly, whatever the tasks you have. If you're looking at that, you gain your own confidence, then you were aligned with the overall approach of AI, then you can get into your organization's AI journey. Akhilesh, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, I think very good insights, Deepak and Ganesh. The numbers you added really help. Now, let me. So, if I have to look at it from that, we are talking about automation, right? And a lot of things can be automated without AI, and that's where there is a confusion all around. I mean, AI will not be effective unless we are talking about decision-making capability,
Yes.
which can be brought in. So, is it that we are still talking about productivity, cost improvement, or are we also trying to get to the decision wherein we are able to take decision without man in the middle? And are actually companies looking at it, or is there a, reluctance on that front?
I can start maybe, Deepak, please do feel free to add. I think excellent question, Achilles. Majority of the client places that we go, initial thought is they are ready. And of course, it depends on the industry, right? So if it is life sciences, defense, and sometimes financial companies, then it's a different case. But surprisingly, they are the most forward-looking and ready to adapt. But at the same time, those are the most critical industry as well, with the most sensitive data too, right? So what we have seen is initially the thought process is they're ready to adapt, and as and when the progress goes, sometimes they are hesitant and reluctant as well, right? So which is valid. I think that's how they need to be. I think you need to make sure that what addresses this problem is how can you add the governance from the very beginning, right? So guardrails and governance, and every data tied to every AI decision tied to the real data, no hallucination. How that's a big challenge today. Sometimes the model works great in the sandbox. When you put it into production, the numbers are different. It is producing its own numbers. very, very dangerous, and that could lead to many lawsuits and problems, right? So hallucination is extremely something very, very important, and there are now new you also need to be very serious on the security, and new things are prompt engineering, prompt injection, right? So you could inject something into the prompt and make the model behave in certain way. And it used to be SQL injections in those days. Now you can inject into the prompt itself, right? And you also the data poisoning, right? Over the time, how the data changes, and can you have something included in your data source that can change the behavior of AI? That's even dangerous, right? So that these things are the problem. And the model drift, another thing, right? So over the period, model can change or drift, and it could start moving away from your initial goal, right? So how do you make sure this doesn't happen is through the right observabilities and right evals, making sure you are always checking, and you have an agent, a kind of a manager agent, a security agent that monitors and makes sure the AI is doing the right thing at the right time, right? So how are you validating the output all of the times and making sure you have the R back control, A back control, right? Attribute based control, role based access, right people seeing the right data. These are the thing many times it's missed. Deepak, if you want to add something.
I think it's fair. I echo you in terms of what you said is very, very clear. Unless we don't have a very clear definition in the what you want to achieve, that's where your data becomes very, very important. That's where most of the people will go wrong. Once you know your data and what you want to achieve, and you know that model in terms of what exactly the output where you're relevantly going to get, so then it becomes very easy. So little data science, as you rightly said, and the industry to industry as it varies, that data science with a certain amount of data, what they have and what they wanted to get into it, how you go, as these companies becomes very, very crucial and important. If you are a data ready, and second is before you hit back to your customer or a vendor or whomever your supplier, make sure that is like you test that properly. So that's also
Yeah.
is a big task which people will be excited and they wanted to roll out. Everybody wants to get the credit. So that's all is there in every organization. Go live photos are also required. But point is, what happens is when it hits to customer and the tickets start increasing at the customer service side or operational side, that is where you find a lot of challenging areas. So this we can mitigate, as you rightly said, if you are ready with that approach overall.
Yeah, a lot of
Okay.
companies are into the egos of, no, I want to be the
Yep.
biggest AI spend,
Correct.
but end of the day is how
Yes.
successful you are in the AI in production.
True,
Yeah.
true.
So I
Challenge.
think data is something which we are hearing for maybe more than a decade now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when we had data analytics coming in, it was the same challenge. We had challenge with data. With AI, that challenge has actually multiplied now. So, I mean, if I have to ask, put some emphasis in terms of what are, I mean, how do you deal with this? Because see, your project will completely fail. I mean, if you are not able to have control on the data, or right data is actually being provided, because all those model drift, or if you even have, let's say, security issues with the, model, it will impact the way, data is there, or the way data will behave. So, Ganesh, I mean, let me ask you, because you are into that space. So, how do you deal with these things around data security?
Absolutely, governance, right? So security, guardrails, and not all companies would to need to have AI that is open, right? So, and other question is typically many places when we go to the board meetings or client meetings, one common question everybody asks is, can I, Claude is now, it's so powerful, it can do everything. Can I do it, can I do everything through the Claude? Yes and no, right? So yes, cloud is great, but is are you using your data to train cloud, or are you building something internally to train yourself so that IP stays within you, right? So those are the key thing. Big conversation, a thought that you need to put seriously, and that also is the security concern. Do you want to send your data to the cloud, or do you want to build something that is on prem, stays within you? So sometimes the decision is, you may have to go to certain different thought process in building how the AI would look like. I believe the biggest advantage, I call it the loop. Okay, the loop meaning how model can learn from itself, right? So it's the more like reinforcement learning, have something built internally, how it is learning from its own process, failure, success, and correcting itself. Or this also addresses a lot about security that you're asking about. So it is all about governance, compliance, having the right guardrails built in from the scratch, not bolted on little later after that thought.
Great. Thank you. Okay, let me come to another sensitive topic, and this is around Deepak. I mean, since you have got it implemented a lot of agents now, there's a typical issue or thought process. People who are working and who have to train the agents that whether it is going to replace me, right? So employability and job losses. So, I mean, how do you deal with that kind of scenario? Because this is going to be real challenge. Okay,
Absolutely.
we will people who are not trained on AI may not be able to get job, and then employment will be a serious concern. So, do you deal with that in an organization context?
I think it's a very clear, and everyone has this question, including us, and sometimes senior leadership to junior. Most is a single point of question is whether it is a job loss. And I say I don't want it to just to be very diplomatic. We are not, so we have to understand when the overall computer era is also started, like people were writing everything on the books and papers and account. Later it becomes a excel sheet to some optimized heavy excel to some ERP and things like that. So technology will be keep evolving. Okay, it will be keep changing. So you have to adopt, you have to upskill. There is absolutely no choice left with AI, that you have to upskill. That is the first point which we have to do. Then we have to start conducting along with the organizations with the HR initiative approach, or at least personalizing with the team level. We should encourage it. See, in the organization where I'm there, close to around 200, 300 people, we thought I am blocking it. Everybody use chat GPT. I will have the data, how many people are already running the model, how many are using their own account. In organization, I will know in no time. Okay. But I'm encouraging it. Why? Unless it's a proactively, they are not upskilling, or they are not knowing, they are not, encouraging themselves to get into adoptions, or at least being aware of it. Okay, there is something else is coming. So this particular portion is there for few people, where when we sit, we are most of the time what we have done, we have not gone to that level, that like I just want to do a customer use case, send some automatic mail. We've not got into that style. We looked at what is the typical problem where we have and which we can solve, and where that AI adoptions can be in a good note to it. So that sets a benchmark and a sentiment for that overall job, the insecurity angle and other things. Look, you guys, at least new onboarding might be reduced, but existing, with whatever the kind of a growth rate we have, what is a plan where we undertaken, based on that is how we guys are getting into a next level, pushing them hard on some of the upskilling, where you optimize your activity. First, you use this for like your buddy. You understood, the your assistant. Unless you are not getting in that pattern. Now, what we are talking, you don't have to analyze or just hear from here and there. It becomes easier for you to, basically get into it. Second is, one fundamental truth is AI is changing every sector, every organization, every industry. Okay. The way we were following SOP means like every organization, there was one standard operating procedure, which is in manufacturing or retail or finance. There is one operating procedure, correct, right? You used to hire people, the people used to operate. Fundamentally, AI is changing and rebuilding new SOP, new operating standard, using with cloud or with some automation, some information, or full play of a agentic or a group of agents which is going to come to your department. This is inevitable. Okay, you like it, you don't like it, this is the truth. That's how where organizations are getting into it, and there are repetitive problems where human cannot solve. For example, as we wanted to say is, how we convinced is, we have a bank account. As I rightly said, we wanted to do a multiple banks and 400 accounts. Can you, close to around some, 100 legal entity. Can you log into each bank account by different bank, log in and pull the statement, know what is your cash flow statement. By evening also, you cannot complete that. Okay. That is the first use case. Can you able to solve it? You cannot solve it, because that humanly OTP will come. You have to log into your account. You have to see, pull and put it to an Excel sheet, or you write any automation. Not possible. Bank is also heavily encrypted, where only hardly 2 to 3 people. If 5 people logs in and try to pull the data, it rotates and such, gets stuck there. Okay. Now, typically, if I want to look at it, that 400 account on a click of a button on a background, where I'll be able to, if I'm integrated with that respect to bank, legal entity wise, what is the account types you have, whether it is OD accounts, a RERA account, or a CC account, or your investment account, or what, with the type, with the transactions where it is coming. Plus, we had unidentified customer. Customer has paid money, but I don't know, because he is not paid by his regular. He would have paid by some his wife account. He's paid by some other account. Sometimes it is come through, banker is send their home loan money, but we have not received the money, but it is not tagged to that particular customer. Where do you do unidentified? It's not small amount. It is close to around, multi crores. It's in $1 million, minimum 3 to 5. But particularly when you want to reconcile it, how do you do it? So 40 people team, 10 people team sitting, you cannot. But now, at least in a 3 minutes, 2 minutes, I'm able to connect a 400 bank accounts, get all the statement ready. Single deck on the CFO is visible. I have this much of a net cash flow, and same day in the evening, reconciliation to SAP with house bank and blah blah blah, connecting it, where we are able to do tomorrow morning when you guys come back and wanted to cut a check for a new vendor or a customer or whatever. It's so easy. Otherwise, you will not be able to complete it. So look at that use cases where you wanted to encash and where it is real time, not one agent. Organization also will encourage. For example, pilot has been done for one bank account and we see a result. We will ask whether, Ganesh, no problem, whatever the money, please come, put a multiple agent. You understand the point? No, let's repeat the task. So, and believe me, guys, it is one is crucial data, very sensitive data, to the organization board level data. Not that everybody will know what is the bank account, how much of the money the organization will have. It should be a sensitive small group, correct, right? So it has to be looked into like that. Unless you are not segregating this data, not having where exactly you are solving the problem, unless you are not hitting that particular process, it will not go. And Ganesh was mentioning on the completely invoice mapping and P2P. Guys, it's a data entry and a thankless job. Okay,
Yes.
how much ever he does, the pile is again and kept on his table, correct, right? Repetitively, he will motivate it and do it in first 1 year, 2 year. But if he is become manager also, he will be doing same thing, but amount of the invoices are reduced, or he will do a high ticket. What he is not entering 10,000 rupees, he is entering 1 crore rupee. So all this is becoming very, very crucial. You have to believe and you don't have to rethink. Basic point what you have to do is you have to upskill. You have to live with this data. You have to automate your step and process, maybe with your small team or whatever the individual or organization strength, what you have. Together, unless you are not ready with that approach, it will not help you. So you have to upskill. So we are motivating. Maybe we are spending more time on, same thing repetitively. We are encouraging. Yes, few guys are motivated. Few guys are, thinking, okay, this is one more buzzword. So maybe a few guys are thinking. Contexts are there with individual. But end of the day, the fact remains is process and process improvement and the speed what we want to catch up. For that, AI is there. We like it or we don't like it. Organization is going to get into it today, tomorrow, or day after. Okay, that's a path where we are getting in. Fundamentally, everybody's roles are going to be redefined with new SOP coming in picture. This is what is the way forward. It looks like for every industry, not particular to me or account or this Raju. It is going to get into every industry. That is what I am anticipating in that approach.
Yeah,
Thank you,
if I
Deepak.
may add, Akhilesh, just so
Yeah,
it's so much very, very important question. I think beautifully said by Deepak, right? So I think the job itself will change going forward. We will have new job, including in the software, right? So when AI, you come with the challenges, how are you going to address these challenges? What is this security look like? How are you going to build? These are going to be new challenges that will come, right? So when Jensen, NVIDIA CEO, is saying it is all about the purpose, not the tasks, right? Today we are typing to for the coding, but it is about what are you going to achieve with the coding. The typing part will be gone, the tasks will be gone. It is the end goal, is the purpose, right? When Satya Nadella is talking about SaaS is going to die, right? So he's saying that the whole software structure, all the ERPs and everything software will be changing, that it will all be elevated to the higher AI conversational layer, right? So, and underneath is all CRUD databases, right? So then the whole landscape is also changing. So the job is also changing, right? That is how we need to relook at it and see, adapt and learn, and like, right, Deepak pointed, upskill and so on.
thanks.
I'll give you one more
Yeah.
example. It's a very good example. I love the example actually. See, this is for our design team and architect team. Okay. Before we start any of the, say project, definitely we will do two, three design and we finalize. But effort of architects for an year, a team of architects for an year to build one design and we reject that design later. Okay, it's a huge effort. Okay. Now we use Google Gemini Ultra and, we are doing design rendering. Means 7, 8 design, we all can do it and, sit in the boardroom what kind of theme we want to do it, how do we scope it, can we reduce that timeline from year where architect used to design and come back and then we getting in reducing the timeline and go to market becomes so easy. Otherwise you will know Rera and we launch a project, but 2 year before land to launch project like process for land to launch is like big ticket, clearances, architect design, approval, getting your quantity. After that is 1 month in RERA registered, and then we get into tendering that project. But unless design team, why I'm saying this to you, all the architects also is getting into using AI. Marketing team for our pre-sales this all they are using all nano banana to for Adobe Fairfly to this, that's adoption level has been there. Unless you don't encourage everybody with the same team, okay, giving them these tools and trying to see and render it, they will come out with that activity. And unless you don't try this at the organization, it becomes very difficult. Thank you, that at least somewhere we are able to balance the boat and get some budget, push some use cases to each department and things like that. But still, unless you don't try it, you won't. And definitely you will fail. I'm not saying that is only running guys are only going to get into trouble. So somebody who's sitting and commenting, definitely he will not be in, he will be always in the good books too. Okay, but unless you don't experiment it, clean your data, get into it, do it in the small model. No need to go heavy jargon of large language model, not required for you.
Yeah.
Just start with your first one or two. You will learn. Then you will understand why you need a large language model when you what use case you can be solved. Otherwise, everybody gets scared. Okay, what is this large language model? Whether we really need it or not. So it is actually simple. So you can go step by step. So I think
Yeah.
Ganesh and team will
Same.
be
Yeah.
doing most of
Yeah.
the,
See,
first level of AI readiness check or work. So that's where
100%.
it will give you a lot
Yeah.
of complimenting in terms of
Yeah.
what kind of a use case we can resolve. Yeah,
Yeah,
over to you.
shameless plug, Deepak. Yes, we have AI agents for all of that. Digital
Yeah.
marketing in Elixir and for architect support and all of that. We have agents that solves it.
Yeah, absolutely right. That's where
Mm.
like your list was showing in multiple. So that's where I just want to touch upon another one or two use case. It becomes easier people to understand. Context is not left even design. Context is not left marketing. Context is not left any functional domain. So everywhere agent is going to come. This is what it is. We have to upskill ourselves.
Yeah. Thank you. And thanks, Deepak. It
Yep.
also, I mean, looking at you and Ganesh's statements, a lot of opportunity for us as consultants are there, and we are really excited about it. In the interest of time, let me ask you one last question, and then we will take some a question from our delegates attendees because we have a lot of questions coming up. So one question to both of you and very brief answer I would expect. What is the biggest barrier in AI adoption? Is it people? Is it data? Or is it technology?
Yeah, go ahead, Deepak. Uh, Please.
From my context, all three.
Yes.
Definitely, if we want to make one project successful in AI, we need people, we need data, and we also need infra. Because these infras, whatever you have, it will not support because it's crave for a GPT, kind of a processing and strength and tokens, what it is required. So from that angle, somebody has to know the process also. And unless we are not knowing what is the process, business process with the human in loop, which problem we are solving, that comes from human only as of today. So we have to get into it. That's how I look into it.
Yeah, from my
Ganesh, yeah,
standpoint, it's all three I do accept, but it is more from the integration of all three as well. All three together coming together. So, yes.
okay, great. Thank you. I think what we will do is we'll take some questions, and whatever questions are left, probably we will reply to, I mean, people on email because we may not be able to take all the questions. So I will just put some of the question. There is one question from Viral Vora, so which he's asking, do you see that the knowledge to marry AI and business process is lacking with organization? Also, how to use AI or automation into business process is lacking. I see it is important to identify which process to optimize using AI and automation and which technology tool to be used. So Ganesh or Deepak, who wants to answer this? I
I'll go
think Deepak has
first.
answered
Yeah.
it in large part,
Yes, he did.
but
He
yeah,
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
I'll
yeah,
I'll
Go
only
ahead.
go. I'll only go. Sorry, Ganesh.
No,
So,
no. Yeah.
very, very good question. Very practical question also. Point is, see, as I told you, uh, just trying to do a repetitive task related to some processes, which could be ARAP or whatever the processes where you are undertaking, unless there is repetitive task, okay, don't get into it. Why I'm saying this is very clear. You don't know what is the token you are going to consume. For example, in India, let's look at the Indian context. In India, when we can get a resource which is on 3 to 5 lakh rupee, as in the one of the accountant or a digital marketing guy or other things, and I try to use for that repetitive task where it is going to get into more of that different data where we will be able to discuss with that and number of tokens and repetitively where I consume. If it goes to 5 lakh and above, where we will not be able to do any of that activity. So from that standpoint, I wanted to make sure cost is very, very important. When it can run a normal process with where you don't need any optimization on that process. This task is anyway going to take 5 to 8 hours. Keep that task there. Don't go and overboard there with the technology or a jargon or extra activity that will not give you productivity. It will give you just a initial glimpse. So I look at very strictly in terms of, though everybody wants to push it, I look at very strictly, and I am going to be cost cautious also. So looking at it, wherever I have, as I told you, some of the use case where it is, we cannot do it there. If you put AI, it's together where we are achieving the success. But if you're trying to do it on one sided, it becomes very difficult. So low end process and small repetitive or this process only where we should be able to look into AI. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. There is a question from Raj Sharma. Does agentic implementation reduce cost significantly, keeping all other factors constant? Any example of any specific organization along with its size? So you want to answer it, or should I take that one?
Okay,
I
go
can
ahead,
I can
Akhilesh.
answer it. Ganesh, you want to go
Yeah,
ahead? Go ahead.
Deepak too. No, no,
Okay.
go ahead,
See,
Deepak.
of course, it's again a continuity of that in terms of the cost. AI deployment will definitely help. It depends on organization size and type of process and an amount of data or a transaction that what you are undertaking. Okay. For example, if I say payment gateway, okay, we receive money through payment gateway. End of the day, settlement has to happen and that reconciliation to happen. Definitely, guys, you cannot check today transaction is close to around 1500 transaction. You cannot check, guys. So there you have to bring in agentic. Okay. And same way in the reconciliation, or we are generating a marketing lead or something. You put 20 people, you will not be able to post the how the bot is going to post. Correct, right? So with some social media for project launch or a campaign or things like that, you wanted to reach out. So you have to use it there in the digital marketing front. So wherever you required, there you will be able to see cost angle. But India and the US market is little different. They're cost sensitive at India. What we can achieve in 3 lakh rupee or 5 lakh rupee in India versus what you can achieve in $1,000, which could be a 1 lakh, rupees level. It has a two different comparison. So I cannot compare myself, though I want to deploy in my global, I will go ahead and do that practice, but I cannot do that in India because I can get the same work done in that particular cost and people. I don't have to go ahead and automate it. This is how where you can look into it.
So I will add here. I think even in Indian context, and we were associated with one company which is into app-based pharmacy, and they also had B2B business, and then they were trying to selling to institutional and all. And we are talking about what you spoke, Deepak, the bank reconciliation piece, where they every day they had like hundreds of thousands of transaction, and the cost reduction because of automation that case was more than 60%. So that's the kind of reduction we are seeing even in the Indian context. Again, it depends on what you are trying to automate, what is the volume, what is the cost associated with it. All these factors will actually determine what is the cost benefit analysis.
Yeah, I think it is rather than how we can fit technology in solving the problem, the business problem. I think going back to the first answer I was giving is how is it going to improve the productivity? Is it going to reduce the cost, or can I add intelligence to existing thing? Three things is what we need to look at to answer the Sarma's question. And you rightly said, no, look at the repetitive task. Very simple. It cannot be more than that. Right? And that is what, again, great. India is a volume game where we have tremendous data. That is a very good use case. US and the country, US, North America, where I am from, is like different game where you can put in the money and you can use a use case. Rightly pointed out, Deepak. Sometimes it makes some sense in for different use cases for different kind of scenarios.
Yeah, thank you. We'll take
Yeah. By
one
the way,
last
we have
question.
reconciliation agent within us.
Yeah, yes. So we will take one last question. which is from Ramesh Kunda. So he's asking how confidential if we are trying to give all our data like bank statement, logins, etc. So Ganesh, you want to take this up?
Yeah.
Because we are
That's
talking about
that's a very
platform and
good question.
security here.
Yes, excellent question. I think that's we touched upon and answered earlier as well. It is all about compliance and guardrails and how your AI is, you make sure it does not hallucinate. AI can be very creative, good and bad. So you need to use it where it needs to be creative, but you need to restrict it where it should not be creative, right? In a simple term, right? So you can have all this AI probabilistic and all that word, but this is what it is, right? So how do you make sure where you need the creativity, you use the AI? But for these cases, you need to have the right guardrails. That's the answer, right? So everything validated to the right data source, right? So that the compliance check and guardrail is the answer. Yes.
Yep. Thank you. I think uh, thanks Ganesh and Deepak. It has been a great discussion. A lot of takeaway from the session. Uh, uh, I think if anyone wants to have further question or anything, they can reach out to our team. We are happy to discuss it going forward. These recordings will be available after a few days and will be shared with all the participants. And thanks again for agreeing to this webinar. And look forward to interact with you, Ganesh and Deepak, both of you. And happy, whatever questions we have not been able to pick up here, we'll be replying to them independently. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Thank you. With
Deepak.
this,
Thank
we
you
It's a
will
very
close
much.
the
privilege to
session.
be
Thank
along
you.
with you in the panel, and thanks, Achilles, to pull me in. It's again, the privilege there.
Yep.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Bye bye.
Hope we will be, added some value to everybody who is listening. So that's a motto. Akhilesh, thank you very much. Conducting such a webinar. Thank you for having me here. Bye bye.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Bye bye.